My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
It's not just Judd's Hockey Show. It's the Tuesday edition, which means when you see the screen, you're going to see Judd, AJ, and most importantly, Jessi Pierce, our friend Bardown. Beauty does a great job covering the Wild as well for NHL.com. A person that is at, if there's a hockey event, she's probably there.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, yay.
Yeah, come on, Jessi.
So fortunate.
Like all the kids out there, like, I want to be like Jessi. You're like, ah.
Hey, how was that Sunday off, by the way?
It lasted 6 hours. Approximately 6 hours.
6 hours is good.
It was good. It was a long break for me, and then the Cyclones went and broke my heart. So I'm kind of mad at sports in general. It's fine.
I think you learned. I think you learned an important lesson about people trusting you. So like you tweeted something that was very cryptic that turned out that it was about the Cyclones, Iowa State basketball. And more importantly, your followers are like, oh my God, what happened to the Wild?
The earth is falling.
And Jessi had to get back on. But see, you are a trusted source.
Oh, I know.
You're a trusted source of hockey related information. So if you tweet a cryptic tweet, everyone's assuming it has something to do with hockey and probably the team that you cover, the Minnesota Wild.
Fair. I mean, and with the way things are trending for the Minnesota Wild, when I say something like, oh, this is not just bad, it's awful, I would understand how that can be instantly connected and tied into the Wild and their constant state of injuries. But no, it was Iowa State. Not only did they lose, you guys, they looked horrendous. And I picked this team to go all the way. I also maybe missed the memo that their best player was hurt prior to the tournament. So needless to say, I am not watching any more basketball the rest of
You're not a basketball girl, though.
No, I mean,
you're a hockey girl.
I was. I loved my orange ball for a while, and then here we are now at a rink.
Exactly right. Okay, so speaking of bad news, good news. Brodin comes back and plays on Saturday against Buffalo. Evidently was limping post game. Talked about having to manage his playing time, and then did not play against the Stars in the loss at Dallas on Monday. Declan Chisholm blocks a shot. He gets hurt. Already without Kaprizov. Already without Eriksson. Already without Marcus Foligno. What can you tell us about the growing list of walking wounded on this team? And also the fact that is Brodin being managed here, or is there a legit concern? Jessi, what do you know?
Here's what I can say. Here's what I can assess. We need men that have bones that are not made of glass, first of all, or we need somebody to learn how to block shots, because I don't know how it's a freak accident, right? Like even last night we had our Beauties live and we had people asking us, oh, is this the medical team's fault? Is this a problem? They're not getting healed up. No, it's just unfortunate. They're just getting hit in those spots that things break, things are broken. Let's start with Brodin. Let's start with him. Yes, he was limping post game. Shout out to Marco Rossi of The Athletic, who did kind of continue to pepper him saying, are you okay though? Are you okay? Do you expect to play? I was like, geez, give him a moment here. But Broads did say he's going to have to manage it. And I think him not playing in Dallas is probably indicative of that. It's a back-to-back. It's a one-day travel too. So he was probably better off staying back here and skating or resting, whatever that looks like for him. Jonas Brodin is not going to be 100% the rest of this season. That is just point blank fact. He hasn't been all season. He wasn't when he headed into the Four Nations, just in case you forgot, Judd. But I think with him, it's going to be a management. Now, I don't see it being an instance where he's going to be missing a lot of games with the exception of these back-to-backs, right? It's just the way it's going to shake out. I do not see Declan Chisholm playing tonight, but I do see Jonas Brodin playing tonight. That's just kind of how I feel about it. I think that's what you're going to look at, just because John Hines was so vague on knowing what the injury was for Chisholm. He missed the entire second half. And then I had also heard that there were potentially some injured players skating at Tria today. Declan Chisholm was not one of them. Jonas Brodin, however, was one of them. So there is that. I believe Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson might also have started skating as of today. So let's find out. We will know more. We can talk to John Hines pregame today at 5:40. So I'm excited to get that confirmation. But if that is the case, if Ek and Kaprizov are on the ice, I still think you're a little bit ways away. Oh, yeah. But that is a huge, huge sign, because up until this point, I don't know that they have skated at all yet.
Yep. Yep. So on X, so
I buried the lead there, didn't I?
Thank you for leading with Brodeen and then
well, you
working.
sort of backed into
You took the scenic route.
you
That's
backed
okay.
into it a little bit. Declan
just
Chisholm, he
keeping
didn't. I got
keeping
you.
the algorithm going. We're making sure people are
See,
watching for long enough
you
before they
kids,
break in.
Yeah.
you kids know way more than I do about that. So
The click rate through these videos is astonishing. So the people that stuck with us for the first
Exactly.
5 minutes, you just got the biggest scoop of the day.
So on Eck, you told me, I think it was on Saturday before the game in the press box, Jess, that you hadn't seen him or he hadn't been seen. And then lo and behold, during the game, we see him. Didn't look like he was on crutches. It looked like he was walking. I'm with you. What's your best guess on the ramp up here then? So if Eck and Kaprizov are going to come back, do they come back with, I don't know, 3 games left? Do they come back with 5 games left? Because I will say this, if they don't come back until the playoffs start, the criticism of Bill Guerin for not shelving them both and making a trade, while I'm still fine with not doing it, the criticism is going to be, I would guess, pretty heavy if neither one of those guys are back until game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it was very promising to see those guys and Marcus Foligno. It almost kind of felt like a dog and pony show. Like, hey, here they are. They're around. They're still alive, because I've never seen them sit up there at all right behind me in the press box with Bill Guerin. Now, I was told that they sat there because they genuinely just wanted to get up there, and they probably wanted to show a little face and just kind of see a thing or two. As far as the return, I think, let's take a look at the schedule. This is what I'm pulling up on my phone,
Beautiful.
right, guys? Let's just take a peek here. This week we know is tough. You've got Vegas tonight, Washington, New Jersey, and then you go to New Jersey next Monday. Now, to close out April, it is a lot of games still. You've got the Rangers, the Islanders on the road. Then you're back home for a Sunday matinee against the Stars on April 6th. San Jose at home, and then a 2-game road trip back-to-back in Calgary, Vancouver. And then you close it out, the regular season, April 15th against Anaheim in St. Paul. I think that first week, that first road trip sounds like a really good time to get these guys in the lineup. I think again, push comes to shove. St. Louis playing really good hockey. You've got Vancouver starting to come. I mean, the race is heating up, which we kind of all expected. So Minnesota is going to need all the help they can get without question. But you still need to be cautious. You still need to get these guys medically cleared, medically healthy. Again, probably not to 100%, just like Jonas Brodin, especially Eck. I do think Kaprizov comes back before Eck. I've maintained that since this injury happened, although it was great to see him looking healthier. I just think Kaprizov wants that longer runway than Eriksson Eck does. I think he'll be okay to go in as it is. So I'm looking at that first week of April as a very safe way to play it. They're good on the road. You'll get some of that offensive help. If the defense can just hold teams off until then, you're going to be in okay shape.
Yeah, that'd be a good, I guess, like, how many times have we seen it too, where they've brought back Kaprizov now from injury and he's got like a game or 2 and you expect, okay, now let's just, you went from doing nothing on the couch rehabbing to, okay, team's kind of shutting it down. You're playing against the Sharks, who have totally checked out since February 12th. And now here you're going to go straight from that into playoff hockey round 1 against some of the best teams in the world. You can't really do that. So that first week, if that's kind of what you're projecting, I know that's, I don't know, an educated guess, I would say, given your expertise, but it does give a decent amount of games to where you do get back up to speed. It's not like you're going to hit the ground running and all of a sudden you're face planting the next day. It's okay. You can really put one foot in front of the other, find that speed. There is a few games in there against, like, you're going to, if you do get back in the lineup by that time you come back home, you get a game against Dallas, who you potentially, based on how things shake out, you might see them in the postseason. But it's not like you're playing against all scrubs that final, 5, 6, 7 games of the year. You do have a couple fortified teams there, and that could be good competition to really get their legs back under them, because you need both those guys if you want to have any success in the postseason.
And maybe it might start with that New Jersey game too. I forgot they are in New Jersey that Monday. Obviously, that makes that East Coast swing. I don't know what that trip looks like if they come back home, because that could certainly be interesting if we're that much time off. Again, it behooves them to stay here and skate and move around. But I think it seems fair. We like it. Let's manifest it, guys. Let's do it.
This stretch too, Jess, to go back to your point, is difficult. So you played Dallas on Monday. You got the Golden Knights Tuesday tonight. You've got the Capitals, who have been a great story, and I don't know where they came from. But
Ovechkin's going to score 6 goals in Winnipeg tonight, right? Is that what we're also manifesting?
I was really hoping. Yes, I was manifesting.
Yeah.
You know what? If I could have one thing, it would be that. And then the Devils are decimated a bit, but they're still a playoff team. So you've got what? Dallas, Vegas, Washington. So 5 consecutive games that are tough. And also, as you said, the Blues are playing great. So you're 4 points back, if I'm not mistaken, of the Avs, who are third in the division, and you're only 4 points up on the Blues, who are the 8th place team. So this becomes a absolutely key stretch. And if you could, if they're healthy enough to come back at some point, it's huge too, because like in the Dallas game, to me, you can just tell when they're playing good teams, the grind to try to score goals it's just painful. It's just painful. Bad teams, it's hard, but you can score, right? But like I did not think that the Stars played a great game. And the Stars, I thought for like half of the game, I texted Age, I'm like, they just don't look good. But they're a good team. And when they put the accelerator on, it was tough because the Wild just doesn't have the firepower to combat that.
Yeah, I mean, you had mentioned it, I think, last week, Judd, about how this playing such heavy defense against heavy teams is exhausting, especially when you've got Iowa guys that are coming, Devin Shore trying to do everything he can down on the bottom lines. And when you don't have that top line of Boldy, Zuccarello, Rossi going, you're not getting anything. You are sputtering to get any goals, which is hard to watch. Shout out to Filip Gustavsson, who continues to be the guy. And again, the defense playing pretty solid as well, but they're getting hampered there. It's tough to watch. And again, it reminds you how much you miss the Joel Eriksson and the Kaprizov, because they're both 2 very different offensive powers. And those are 2 offensive powers that you need, because you're right. As great as it is to shut down a team and grind these out to a 2-1 win or a 2-0 win, it's just not sustainable at this stretch with the amount of games still left.
Yeah, and it's tough because I feel like a good team can figure that out and like play around that style too. And that's what you're going to get, like, especially night after night, seeing a team back to back to back to back in a playoff series. Even if you get that game won and you can really grind one out, I don't know if you can do that 3 more times out of the next 6 games. Like it's just so tough because, you can try to put together a piece of furniture, but if you don't have if you need a screwdriver and you have a hammer, that's really hard to put the studs on. I'm
just always impressed. I just love
he
it.
always comes up with them.
Good.
Yep.
It's just tough. It's just tough
phenomenal.
to do that. So that's where you need the offensive back with a Kaprizov, with an Eriksson, and when that top line, like you said, Jessi. I mean, it was very evident last night, and the timing was uncanny because Judd and I got to texting. It's like, God, this team kind of looks like the compete level's weird. All of a sudden, they pot 2 quick ones, and it's like, oh, they just had a quick conversation on the bench. Like somebody turned down, hey guys, we're so much better than them. Why are we?
That's what AJ said. He's like, we're playing the Wild and they got nobody.
Yeah, like they're decimated. Let's just score. And then they did. And then that's all they needed to do. So they need to either, it's a 2-part thing. Getting some of that 5-on-5 scoring back. And you saw that against Buffalo. It's a much bigger challenge to do that against a team like Dallas, though. And then having guys come back from injury, the Calvary coming back would be a great help.
Yeah.
The good news is this. Filip Gustavsson continues to play, I think, just fantastic. Like this is, he started off great, went into a slide. And so I thought, okay. And we talked about this at the time, potential problem, but he has played for what now, Jessi, a month, at least a month, more than a month. He has been outstanding. And I will say, if he can continue this, and it's an if, but if you take this into the playoffs, you can win games.
100%.
Like this is how you don't have to be great during the entire season, but if you can turn it off and on occasionally, and if you can play like this in a playoff, this is how you steal, let's say, 2 games, like totally steal them.
He gives them a chance every night to win. You know what I mean? There was a reason he was the first star of the NHL this week too. He had 82 saves on 84 shots and helped the Wild stay perfect on the 3-game stretch. And you'll see Marc-Andre Fleury tonight, which I think is good. And I don't think Marc-Andre Fleury's played bad in those instances where he needs to go in. But it's so nice to have a team that has a true number one goalie, and that is Filip Gustavsson, especially having the bounce back season from last year and just he's dialed in. You see those first shots on net, even against Buffalo, even against those bad teams. There's obviously some very good scorers in the National Hockey League, no matter which team you play for. And Filip Gustavsson makes that first save, and you're like, yep, he's on. This is going to be a challenge for them. And I think other teams have started to recognize that as well. I spoke with Bruce Cassidy this morning, obviously head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, and he knows that that is going to be their biggest challenge. He said not only right now is Minnesota playing so shut down defensively, but to get the puck past Filip Gustavsson, you need to get bodies in front of the net. And again, credit to the defense for being able to box a lot of guys out and a lot of teams out for the majority of the game. Again, I think that's the biggest problem is they're having a struggle doing that for 60 minutes because it's so hard and so exhausting, especially when you're down to 5 defensemen like they were last night too.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing too is when he is really on his game, no rebounds.
Yes.
He eats the puck up, which is just huge. Because the last month or so, like it's gone from, okay, that's not great to if you don't score on the initial shot, you're screwed, which is just great. So like that does give me hope because conversely, in the Wild's first round playoff defeats, of which there are unfortunately many to choose from, I feel like that's one theme is that they get the goaltender who gets hot against them and you don't get the rebounds. Now the difference too, though, is, and this is where the Wild struggles now too. It's not just that they don't go to the net enough for my taste, but it's also this one. They've got guys that can go to the net, but there's a difference between going to the net and having the hands in front of the net when the rebound comes out to bury the puck, which probably seems like, well, just bury the puck. Sounds simple, right? I don't think it is. And I'll give you examples. Brazeau can go to the net. Trenin, same thing. Hinostroza, same thing. And he has scored some goals. But overall, against good teams, I feel like those guys go to the net, but what they can't do is when the puck squirts out, and you got to be quick there, right? When the puck squirts out, they struggle, Age, to bury the puck. And that's where like Kaprizov is such a gifted player because he can get the puck. He's strong enough. More importantly, too, he can bury it after he gets it.
Yeah, it's about the players that can set up and like maintain that landscape in front of the goalie. Like you can go there, but if you're going to get pushed out of the way, you're not really going to do anything. But then you also, with that, need the hands to actually, in a small area. I mean, honestly, credit to Freddie Gaudreau, who has shown he can do this at times.
Sure.
He's good in those small areas. Like I don't know if the rest of his game necessarily matches that like area, but he's good out front in those types of situations. You just can't rely on that fourth line. And granted, I think the fourth line as of late has been playing for a fourth line pretty good hockey. Like they're generating chances. Obviously, I would like to see the puck go in the net more. They create some good opportunities. They just can't finish them. But also, that's not what they're supposed to do. Like it's a once in a blue moon that you're going to have that be a successful endeavor. You get a goal. It's like, hey, pat on the back, Brazeau, way to go, Buffalo. You potted one. Great job. But now it's like. Skate. But we're not going to see that on a night-to-night basis. Like, that's not what he was brought here to do. That's where you need the top line, the second line even, to go to the front. You're going to get bruised. You're going to get hurt. But at the end of the day, if you get a goal out of it, it's probably all worth it.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably the problem, right? Is the Minnesota is so hamstringed and hard up for goals and the need for offense that you're like, no, we do need you guys to do more than
you're right.
expected to. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
you're right.
Damn, we got to get in there. And it is. It's not something that they're probably used to, but it is like, please, just anybody, all of you. We need all of you going. That's it.
If Trenton had hands 15 to 20
you mean
goals,
hands that weren't in cement every time?
Yes. If Trenton had the soft hands, if Trenton had good hands, you think 15 to 20 per?
Yeah. I would be thrilled.
If you got 15 from him, I'd celebrate. I'd run around St. Paul.
I would. I'd be like, this is a great contract. And I wouldn't be asking to buy it out immediately. I'll buy it out myself, guys. I'm going to find a way to buy this out myself.
GoFundMe.
Let Bill know.
Yeah, let's
I'll
start it right
contribute
now.
something.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, if Brazeau and Trennan, if you planted them in the National Hockey League circa 1992, they'd score 20 goals because the game was slower.
Yeah.
Like the problem is, and this is where I always come back to Boldy. And yes, he's got some skills. He's got a lot of skills, okay? But Boldy's also got hands. And so if he's around the net, he can actually score. I think the problem is he thinks or is being told, well, we actually need you to make plays too. So that's the problem there. Zuccarello also can, but he tried to go to the net in that game here and got hit in a very sensitive area, and he's not going to go there now. So it's very unfortunate. If Zuccarello hadn't got nailed in the nuts, unfortunately, I do think he would go back there because he has hands too. But it's like Boldy and Zuki at times are like, I'm going to go make a play. No, I'm going to go make a play. No, I'm going to make. It's like, just somebody go to the damn net. Somebody get a rebound. Somebody score.
Here's the thing. I wish that Zuccarello would have named his body wash line Nailed in the Nuts instead of Zuccarello or whatever it's called. I think
Where
that
did
would
he
have been a
start
better
this?
marketing.
Like a year ago. It's been out like
no idea.
Yes.
And no one knew about it?
I think it's exclusively in like Norway.
Yeah.
Nailed in the
Nailed
nuts.
in the nuts.
Oh my God. That sounds like a band.
Right? It's something. There's
something
there.
about like undercarriage or something protection or something.
Nailed in the nuts. Pretty good, Age.
Like, hey, what's that scent?
sucker
Oh,
for
it's nailed in the
alliteration.
nuts. Like, why is your hair so soft? Oh, it's nailed in the nut. I don't.
How about Dented Cup? Now that sounds like a band. Dented Cup.
That's opening
Yeah.
down at like First
Please welcome
Avenue this
Dented
weekend.
Cup.
Mm-hmm. So good.
I like these ideas. I like.
These
I
are good
saw that
ideas.
yesterday. I saw that. I'm like, Matt Zuccarello has a product line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to
Apparently.
get more crap.
Well,
too.
he's got his like, remember that like all-star game that he put together in the summer is called like the Matt Zuccarello all-star game.
He is like a hero there.
The Zuccarello Invitational for sure.
He's loved there. He is absolutely loved there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're gonna get to something, and I hate to say it. It's something that Jessi has probably been right about for a long time. I mean, she's ordinarily right about a lot of stuff, but this is one where I think she got pushback. I think fans were mad, and it's going to turn out that the probability is high that she was right. But before we do, I want to show you guys what I'm wearing. I want to show you this. And you're saying, Sports Dad, what's that? And hockey fans, I'm telling you right now, a bucket list item is coming to town for 10 days, starting December 26th of 2025 at the X and at 3M at Mariucci as well. The best annual tournament in hockey. This is as Jessi and AJ know, this is a who's who of future pros, future stars. The World Junior Hockey Championships is going to run from December 26th to January 5th. Yes, that seems like a long time, but lock in your tickets now. Group play packages are on sale now. Go to worldjuniorsmn26.com. worldjuniorsmn26.com. 16-game packages for Group A or Group B include prelim games as well as quarterfinals, semifinals, and bronze, and the gold medal game as well. We can all tell you the World Junior Championships, I think, the best annual tournament in hockey. I think it's the best every year it's played. It is absolutely great. It, I think, was last played here at 82 or so. So, like, it's a very competitive thing. So, again, your chance to get tickets to join Sports Dad, because I'm going to tell you right now, I think AJ, Jessi, and I are all going to be there quite a bit. WorldJuniorsMN26.com.
Three-peat USA.
Yeah, that's another point. It's a great tournament, though. Seriously, I love it.
It's the future of the NHL on display, playing because it's a lot of guys playing like their hearts out ahead of draft. You're trying to raise stock. Like Gavin McKenna is going to be on display for Team Canada. Have you seen this kid, by the way? He just rounded out his season in the juniors up north. 100 points. Just an insane like final run of games.
I've heard he might come down and go to Michigan. Is that right?
Yeah, because they don't need another.
You know what? I love that there are so many Canadians coming down and playing college hockey. Now it's unfortunate for the American kids who are now having less opportunities, but it's huge for college hockey. Like I I love it. And that's where World Juniors, that's those college hockey aged players, the OWHL, CHL, all of that. It's incredible. Alex Ovechkin has played in this. Kirill Kaprizov's been a World Junior.
Everyone.
Brock Faber. Like, you think of the players that you are watching now in the NHL, odds are the really good ones made a World Junior team back in the day. So I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm all in. And it's, you know, if they get hurt, Judd, do you feel as bad if they get hurt going back to their college teams as you do for nations?
No.
Like, we're good. Yeah, okay.
I'm fine with that. Because guess what? Nothing is more important than that tournament. See, that's the difference. That tournament, important. Four nations, You're a pro playing for an NHL team. The only thing I don't like is this. I will give you a World Juniors gripe, but it's only about one country. Canada runs its tryouts in November. And Matthew Wood, who is on the team, plays for the Gophers now, transferred in. Matthew Wood, who was on the Canadian junior team a year ago, missed some key games, and got cut. It's like, just choose your rosters. It's not that hard. You know who's going to play for you. So, like, let's not be taking the kids off their college team early, but for those 2 weeks, nothing beats it. All right.
Side note, can I tell you one Four Nations update?
Of course.
Shea Theodore, game time decision for tonight. He was injured, obviously, in that first game of Four Nations. Isn't it funny when teams get their injured players back against the Minnesota Wild? Like, isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Wow. Oh, my God.
There's your other news for the day.
Speaking of,
I know.
Canadian, huh? Yeah, you know, I just love the fact that he's been out for months or a month now because he got hurt in that tournament.
And he circles Minnesota on the calendar.
He's like, I'm going to give him a boost of energy. I'm well rested.
He never should have been hurt in the first place. Okay, so to get back to what Jessi was right about, Michael Russo on his podcast, I don't think he's written this again yet, but on his podcast, talked about the fact that he thinks there is a higher than 70% chance that Marco Rossi is traded this summer. And his quote on the podcast was, "The Wild and Rossi are so far apart on what Rossi's camp thinks his value is versus the Wild and what they think, it's not even funny." First of all, Jessi, take a bow, because you've been saying he's going to be traded. And I fought back a little bit, and I still don't like this. I don't know what Age thinks. He can certainly chime in. But, you know, it seems like Billy doesn't love Marco. And I guess more importantly, yes, they're going to have more cap space, but Kirill's going to eat up a huge chunk. And Marco's going to be a restricted free agent, which means he could get an offer sheet. But he's certainly going to ask for, it sounds like, a lot. He's had a really nice year. It sounds like the decision based on that and the negotiations might be to trade him. I don't love this. What's your thought about how they go about this, though? Because, like, the dude is bumped up to be the top line center with Eck out. He's definitely a top six guy. Centers don't grow on trees. What's your feeling about if this is true and they ultimately decide to move on because there's an impasse in the negotiations?
Yeah, I mean, and Marco Rossi has asserted himself as having that value. And again, I want to reiterate, that was the reason I said to trade him, is because you will have people come calling. You will have guys that want this player that hasn't been injured despite all of the injuries running rampant in Minnesota, has put together a very consistent season. But Bill Guerin is going to be like, hey, but I could move this little guy and maybe go get a bigger guy, because I don't know if you guys know this, Bill Guerin loves some big guys on his team. And I think it just kind of reiterates what Bill Guerin is going to be looking for come free agency. I think he does look at Brock Nelson again. I think he looks at Brock Besser again, two really solid centermen who, yes, I know, are older than Marco Rossi. Yes, I know, maybe aren't going to have the longevity that Marco Rossi will have, but I think that's what Bill Guerin wants. Sometimes I think, to right or wrong, Bill Guerin might get locked in on an idea, and that's the idea, and you're not going to be able to pull that out. So I think for him, he's going to look at moving Marco Rossi. Even more so, I think I saw somewhere on The Athletic, or someone redid some rankings of that draft class of Marco Rossi, and they had Rossi bumped up to like 4 or 5 instead of 9, right? So his value has been noticed, and you have plenty of other teams. I don't think Marco Rossi is obviously a true number one center, and I would be curious to see if he fits in that top 6, frankly, on another team that's not the Minnesota Wild. Again, I like him as a player. I love his work ethic. I love that he's brought some physicality to his game, and he can get in those greasy areas, score those dirty goals, because again, as we've talked about, we don't have a lot of players here on the Minnesota team willing to do that necessarily night in, night out. But I think for Bill Guerin, he knows what he wants, and I don't think it's Marco Rossi, unfortunately.
I'm not going to say he's like untradeable, because I mean, you can trade anybody, but I would like to be blown
Can
away.
you though? Because there's a lot of no trades, right?
That's
Yeah,
fair.
you can't trade anybody. Can't trade me. Can't trade Jessi. Both no trades.
Well,
I only have a modified. I
Dallas
only have a
seems
15
like a
team
nice
list.
Dawn's tried.
But when it comes to like the value of like age, how he's kind of grown and progressed, and you have to think about like I treat him as almost he's a year younger, even though he's not, because he did miss a year of development with his health issues and whatnot. He's been healthy all year. Like there was that scare just a couple days ago. Was he going to finally end his 150 whatever game Ironman streak going back to 2 seasons ago? No, he's back in the lineup. He snapped his scoring drought. He seems coachable. Like he does, it seems like what everybody asks him to. Mm-hmm. It just seems silly to me to think, okay, the size is that big of a deal breaker when he seems to play bigger than he is. But I understand that like Bill Guerin probably knows what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. If he thinks that moving him out for somebody else that is 4 inches taller is going to be the difference maker, who am I to judge that? I'm going to judge it, but I'm not going to have a say in it.
You can judge it.
Go
right ahead.
The return has to be, it has to floor me, because centers are so important. Having a good top 2 centers on a team is so important. You're seeing right now, the Wild is struggling with just the one. Is he a top line center? I don't think so. Not right now. Like, can he maybe progress there? If he was playing on, we've seen him with Kirill Kaprizov. He looks like a top line center at times there, but it's not in every day he's driving the play himself thing. It just seems goofy to me to throw that out there of, oh, we have to do it simply because he's not big. If there was off ice issues, if there was locker room issues, if there was, on ice tantrums we're seeing, I could understand this, but it seems like he's the most coachable, team first, willing to do whatever, take a bullet for the guy next to him on the bench type of player. The height cannot be that big of an issue. Like when everything else, I think, has its box checked. That's just my opinion on it.
What's his contract?
And maybe
right. That's the question: is do you want to keep him and not sign someone else? But I mean, if you're just going to say no, I'd be curious, if they if Brock Nelson, much to Jesse's chagrin, signs here, he ain't exactly a young man. I mean, he's a veteran guy. He's been around. And I guess my question becomes, what's your timetable then? Like, there's just a lot of, I don't think the Rossi situation is he wants too much, see ya. Mm-hmm. Which I think has been with some guys. This to me
it's the nicer narrative, though.
Yeah, I know, but it's
the nicer way to say goodbye. It's like, no, it's not me, it's you.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's your contract. But I'm with you, Jessi. Like is Nelson, is that the guy to replace Rossi because he's bigger? Because you do have to take age into consideration, I would think. Like that's where I sort of have a sticking point of, I don't think that this is as simple as see ya, bye. You're trying to get too much from our team, and so now we're going to bring in this veteran, long in the tooth, gray-haired guy.
Well, and that's the thing. I think you have to look at the contracts. I'm going to say something that I don't think we've really said enough. The realistic expectations for the offseason, because there really isn't that much money. Yes, right. There is more, but you've got Boldy, Faber, Kaprizov to pay. You still have quite a bit to go on Ecker, and I think Brodin. You still got 2 years of Spurgeon. I mean, you already have a lot of that money gone into these players and going more into these players. So there's not a whole lot of room to re-sign guys that maybe you don't know if they're a part of the future, which I think is maybe how Bill Guerin feels about Marco Rossi, right? Like, I don't know if you're going to fit in with these pieces for the long term, right? Because that's just the realistic. Yes, there will be more money, guys. That's great. But that $14.5 million to 18 is gone like that. So that's Correct. The other thing to consider too. So if Marco Rossi is asking more than what Bill Guerin has penciled in his brain that he wants to spend on free agency, that's going to be the huge issue, right? And again, and Marco Rossi probably deserves a fair number too. And maybe Bill Guerin does admit that and just is saying, hey, you know what? Other teams will pay that for you. That's not us. So instead, we're going to get what we can from your value.
Here's my question to Bill. Are you doing it because you're going to jettison Marco and get a real significant upgrade? Or are you doing it because a shiny new toy is more fun than Marco? That's my question.
Yeah.
Because if you sign a guy who's just a clear, like if you can go get, in a perfect world, a center who's a number one, because in my perfect world, Ek is a number two. So if you can go get a number one center, which by the way, do not grow on trees and are incredibly expensive, and you can retain Kirill, then I say do it. But if you're going to get a guy because he's taller and you don't, and you project that he might be a great fit, and Marco is a little bit too small, like that would be my question is, are you doing this because it's shiny, or are you doing it because it is going to be for sure, and it has to be for sure, a real upgrade? And I don't know that an aging Brock Nelson is for sure an upgrade. I like him, but he's not young anymore.
And that's be fine for 2 years.
But do
then
they
you
think
get
they're...
another new shiny toy after 2 years? Then you keep adding more shiny toy.
That's the problem.
There's always a younger guy ready.
Like we're not we're not breaking up with people here. Like this isn't a relationship in college where you're a freshman, you date a guy for a few months.
Play the field. Give him a year, one night stand him. 1 year in, you're like,
exactly.
All right, we're out.
I don't want any more one night stands in this godforsaken town. I don't need any more. But it feels like that's yes, when you're young, but when you get to be 55, you want stability. You want to know your dinner's going to be on the table at 6.
Has the Minnesota organization not had the long-term relationships enough for you, though? Look at the players that have been here forever.
Well, the bad boys, too.
Let's play loose. Let's play loose out there a little bit. Be safe, but play a little loose.
The bad boys. Like, I will give you that, okay? The guys we couldn't break up with. It's like, just let them go. But anyway, Rossi to me is really, the last 2 years, like, I've seen a lot there. And yeah, he's not great, but he's really, I think, really good. And he was the, 9th pick in that draft. And as Jess just said, in the redrafts now he's going like 4th or 5th. Mm-hmm. So he's been a hit. Like he's been great. I got one
favorite number 2, by the way, in those redrafts, which is
interesting.
Kind of great. And then I can't remember, there was somebody else that bumped up. Yeah, Timmy Stützle, number 1.
Well, I love Stützle. In fact, you know where I saw him first and fell in love?
Adler Mannheim Eagle. Anyways, go ahead.
Tim Stützle. I fell in love watching him. World Junior Championships for Germany. Absolutely a stud. I said, this kid is going to be special.
Did you love him when Ryan Hartman used him as a balance beam as well?
I didn't like that.
Used to wake up at like 5 a.m. to watch the guy play in Germany. So good.
The German.
He was on the same team at one point as Devin Setaguchi. Think about that.
Devin Setaguchi, blast from the past. What a name. What a guy.
What a terrible trade that turned out to be. What an absolutely terrible trade. All right. One thing left to get to, but before we do, Jessi, tell us about our friends at Swing Lab, because it's gorgeous outside right now. And dare I say it, golf season's basically here.
Golf season, I think, is here. We'll probably get one more snowfall, but suffice to say, Swing Lab Performance Golf in Lakeville always open, so you don't even need to worry about that. Get your game ready and in shape. And you know what, guys? Now they're serving food and beverage. That's right. You can play some simulator golf while enjoying your favorite beverage of choice. They will be offering lunch specials and happy hour on weekdays. Happy hour running from 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays with $3 domestics, $4 seltzers. And on the weekends, have a pizza, have a beer bucket. I love me a good pizza and beer bucket weekend at Swing Lab Performance Golf. Can't go wrong. Get your game in shape before we can get outdoors as well. So Swing Lab Performance, Lakeville. Love it.
Last question for you both. So the Denver Pioneers, the defending champions of the Frozen Four, back in the tournament. When they lose, sophomore defenseman Zeev Buium is going to have probably a chance, it sounds like, if he wants to sign here. Do you guys, A, think that he does sign? And B, how quickly do you think he plays? Because there was an athletic story that basically insinuated that John Hines might not want to play him initially, but there would be some momentum for him to contribute. So Jessi, we'll start with you. What do you think the next couple of weeks hold for the Wild and their relationship with 2024 first-round pick, Zeev Buium?
Yeah, Zeb Buium in St. Paul this past weekend for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. Denver didn't look great, and I think everybody kind of knew that going in. Zeb was the guy. He has been the guy. He did some nice things on Saturday in the championship game, but Pioneers obviously not beating Western Michigan getting that. But I don't think it's going to be a very good run. It's not going to be a repeat for the Denver Pioneers this year. So I do think Zeb is going to be out, and I think he is ready to sign now. Again, for him, I want to reiterate to people, it's very hard to be a Brock Faber, right? It's not easy to jump from the college level into the NHL for a number of reasons, especially when it comes to the playoffs. So while Brock Faber managed to do that, I don't know that Zeev Buium is necessarily going to transition as easily, right? He's been the man for too long. Brock had some instances where he was facing adversity, right? He had injury. Zeev hasn't necessarily had to do that yet. And I think that's going to be a big change for him. So I can understand why John Hines might be being a little bit more cautious. Now, Hines might not have that luxury if you continue to have injuries. We don't know what Chisholm's injury holds. We don't know what Brodeen holds. God forbid anybody else goes out. As we had talked about last night too, David Juracek hurt down in Iowa in his first game back. So that recall is not coming back. So out of necessity, Zeev might have to make an entrance into the lineup before John Hines is ready. But I think we need to be a little bit, I don't want to say cautious with him, but just remind ourselves that it's not going to necessarily come in and be able to move the puck through the neutral zone into the offensive play as easily as he's been able to do at the collegiate level. As grand as that will be, it's going to be a fantastic future with him and Brock Faber, especially. I would put both of them on the power play. If that were me, that sounds just nice. It wets my lips a little bit. But I think Zeev, it's going to be exciting. I think he will sign, but I don't know that he's going to make the impact that Fabes did when he signed here himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's a tremendous player. He's a NCHC Player of the Year. He's a top 10 Hobey Baker finalist. In my opinion, he's probably going to win it as well. Think about recent Hobey Baker defensemen that have made the jump to the NHL. One that comes to mind, same division, Cale Makar. Look how good he's turned out. Is he the same level? I don't think so. I want to preface that.
I was going to say, you just really put the hex on.
A lot of people just got super excited.
Bobby Orr, I say Bobby Orr.
Yeah, why not?
Paul Coffey. Why not Paul Coffey?
But I do think he does sign, and I think Zeev is fantastic. He's not going to go like immediately walk in, get a stall, and be like, hey, you're in the starting lineup. I think you probably get a few practices, though, of John Hines seeing in person. Okay, this kid is significantly better than a couple guys we have on our blue line right now. And I think it's going to be tempting. As much as maybe he and Bill Guerin and some of the other coaching staff probably want to stay loyal to some of the guys that have been in the lineup 80-90% of the season, at a certain point, skill has to trump over that. And so I do think, especially if you get behind in a
John Merrill shot, by the way.
I didn't say that name.
That was a John Merrill shot.
I think it was a Zach Bogosian shot too, because let's be honest, I don't know why he has to stay in the lineup all the time either.
I'll let you guys do that talking for me. But if you get in a playoff series and all of a sudden we find ourselves down 0-2, things just aren't working on the back end. What's going to be a spark plug? Probably a Hobey Baker finalist, potential winner to come in and, like Jessi said, run that blue line on the power play. I don't know if he does get the nod right away, because I do think they probably want to stay true to that. Like, that'd be a giant leap of faith.
Two defensemen there.
Doesn't happen.
Those are two defensemen.
It doesn't happen.
I think it would be so good. Think it'd be so good.
So if Zeev is going to have a drawback turning professional, it's his defensive play, correct?
Yes and no. To me, I feel like he's still just so young too. Like, I just don't know. Again, that's so hard. Like, this is only a second season collegiately. So,
right. But Brock stepped in as a good defense. Like,
he was defense first.
Yeah, I think what we don't get is how really solid and smart defensively Brock was from day one, which I think a lot of guys that age coming out of college, where they were probably stars, really struggle with.
See, I've found that his like anticipation and closing gaps is good. It's above like in his draft class, it was some of the best. It wasn't
in Buium, you mean?
Yes, sorry. Okay, thank you. Like it was. I still think that Sam Dickinson was probably the best defensive defender out of that draft, but Buium, the physicality was the biggest thing. And he's taken big steps this year, and I think Now going from improving that at that level in college to, okay, now you're playing against grown men who have mortgages and families and have,
right.
It's going to be a jump.
And can kick your ass.
Exactly.
Boring.
But I think that his
Mortgages.
skating is good enough to where it's going to be able to bail him out. Similar to how we see that with Brock. Brock probably has a better defensive IQ at this second, and probably when he came in anyways. But Zeev's skating, if he does make his mistake, will probably dampen the severity of that mistake to where you can probably get past it before you get to an off season and can really work on stuff.
Right. His offensive awareness, I think, is so front of mind for
Yes.
him a lot, which is great. And I think that's where he really does shine. But you're absolutely right. You don't want to say a lack of defensive IQ, but there's a lag there where it's like it'll take him a minute. But I think you nailed it, Age. I think that speed and the smoothness of his skating, it's very Jonas Brodin like, right? Like he can skate just beautifully and with speed. So I like it.
So who would he play with then? Spurgeon? Zeev? Because he's a left-handed shot, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared's a right-handed shot. I don't know. I put him with like it feels like they would probably not break up Jake and Faber. Feels like those guys are sort of tied.
So you're
together
in your
right
grand scheme, Jonas Brodin is hurt, or Jonas Brodin is now a third D pairing.
Well, I'm just trying. Well, no,
Right? Because you're not breaking up Middleton and Faber.
Well, let's yes
now. And no, I don't think it would be like 1, 2, 3. I think it would be 3. I just think that Spurgeon would provide Zeev with a lot of stability, which Zeev would need. And then I would have Brodin. Brodin's a left-handed shot. He would probably play with Bogosian.
And then
Chisholm out. Chisholm out for sure. Chisholm out before Merrill out, but Merrill would have to come out.
Yeah, especially like if you go right now, it's an easy, okay, replace John Merrill with Zeev Buium. Like if Brodin is out in a sense. And as you mentioned, I think you're right.
You need Spurgeon.
He's stable.
That was mean.
Yes.
It's why it drove me crazy. It's my final straw. Quick rant here. My final straw with Ryan Suter was his insistence that he play with Spurge. It's like, no. Yeah. And they finally put Suter with Dumba. And I'm like, this is perfect. Suter can be the stability guy. And instead he's like, I need to be with Spurgeon. It's like, this is just an ego trip. You're just trying to look as good as you possibly can. You're making all this money, and you are a selfish human. Like
you can't be making all that money.
Dumbs brought that up the last go when they were here, when he was last year. He was like, because somebody was asking about the D pairings while he was here, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, there was that terrible attempt at putting me with Suits, and that didn't go well at all. Like, just none of it. It was awful.
He bitched and moaned about it, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Awful.
He bitched and moaned, and you know, poor Spurgeon, who should have been it drove me crazy. That's when I was done. That's when I called Billy and I said, let's buy him out. And Billy said, you're exactly right. That didn't take place, but it sounds good now in retrospect. Did you guys see the 4-on-3 OT? I believe it was the 4-on-3, power play in the third period, I believe.
Hold on, please talk amongst yourself.
With Age, no defenseman last night. Hines ran out 4 players, no defenseman.
No, maybe
I got it in my notes. Hold on.
What were the pairings then?
I got it in my notes. So it was a brief 2-man or a brief 4-on-3. So penalty, Dallas.
Yes.
And I had it in my notes that it was here. It was Zuccarello, Boldy, Hartman, and who's the fourth guy? But it was no defenseman.
Who took the face off then on that?
Hartman did.
Hartman did. I bet you.
Apologies. Sorry, guys.
No problem at all.
It was the NHL calling. Literally, it said NHL, and I was like,
Gary.
Wow. Take that.
Gary. Does he want to talk about the playoff format?
He does. He was like, I've heard you have some really good ideas. Billy was really proud of what you've accomplished so far in your career. That
shootouts got to go. Gary.
Yeah.
Gary. You listen to me. Shootouts gone. Yeah. I would rather have goalie fights. I would rather have goalie fights at center ice.
I did. That was priority. I said, you know what? I want those officials arrested. First of all, for not allowing the goalie fight. And yeah, so he's taking my ideas into account.
What are we doing? Why are we breaking up like the 4
Why
nations?
Why is Jeremy Swayman trying to fight and defend Murat Husnudinov in the first place? Also,
I know.
Can we what?
I know, how great would
Things
that
are
have
a
been?
mess in Boston.
Yeah.
But Kemp's is off his rocker. Like
Kemp's
a Kemp's
is
Swayman,
very Binnington-like, right? Like he's a
Yes,
little
he's
like Binnington. I think that's
hothead.
why people don't like him. Yeah.
hothead. But anyway, power play to start the third period last night, 4-on-3 for the Wild, no defenseman.
Because you didn't have any defensemen.
I know, but I mean, still,
they were
4
all
forwards.
hurt.
Heinz's going crazy.
You just said
Heinz,
mad.
mad scientist, Jess. Mad scientist, John Hines.
Toss Gus up there, see what happens. I don't know. Give it a go.
Can
Get
Gus shoot?
Flower in like normal.
Yeah, he scored a goal this year. Gus has got more goals than.
Oh, Flower on the power play.
Yeah.
Just
in goalie skates.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys. That's it. Jessi, breaking news at the X. Age and I don't know what we're doing exactly, but it's great fun. Don't forget, tickets available. World Junior Championships. Never been so happy in my entire life. We'll see you guys later. Bye.